right. Hello, everybody. So we have Tiffany on our call. She's a new coach, and she actually went through our coach opportunity mentorship 7-day, like basically trial group of like, hey, this is what we do as coaches, and signed up, and she's crushing it, doing awesome. And I'm just so excited for her. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from? And anything else?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm from Tennessee, and I was from Tennessee. I grew up here, and then I moved away for a year and a half and was in France on a mission trip, and then came back and lived in Utah for a little bit. And now me and my husband and 2 kids moved back here. So we're just living life.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to meet you. We don't have anyone in Tennessee that I can recall, but we're all from all different areas, so you're not alone. And then we join together on these calls, and it's awesome because it feels like we're all together. And hopefully one day we meet at live events. So I feel like you've seen all of our names in the chat groups, so now you can kind of put faces to some of us. So that's fun. And then if you have any questions or anything, feel free. This is a call where anyone can speak and do as they please. So we're going to dive in because I know it gets close to people's bedtime, depending on where you are. Dinner time for some. So first off, we have 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at my calendar. 3 more days left in this month. And then we're going to be in October, which is insane to me. So I hope you guys are pushing to the end of the month. I hope you're just doing what you can and feeling proud of the work you're putting in, because maybe you're not hitting your goals, but you are doing that work up front, and it's going to benefit you in October. So still push for your goals, but know that the work and the small things you're doing each and every day are going to pay off, especially if it's new connections and reaching out to people. They're going to build, and you're going to have a lot of success in the next month or 2. So with that, do you guys have any questions before we dig in? We wanted to go over some tips and tricks and things you can really take action on from one of the calls that a few of us earned during Team Cup for Hitting Success Club. Corrine, Becky, Jesse, and myself, we all earned. Brendan Richard he spoke to us. He spoke at Summit, and then we earned another opportunity to hear from him again. So we wanted to share some tips and things you guys can take away to be successful in your businesses. And then we also wanted to touch on the Melanie Mitro recruiting like with Rockstar training. So I know more of you might have watched that. So feel free to tune in or speak up. Sorry, she's moving, and I was like, oh, don't wake up. Feel free to speak up and share your favorite takeaways, and we can have a conversation about that one, but we'll start with the Brendan one. So I don't know, do one of you guys want to start? Corrine, Becky, Jesse?
I can touch base. Like he did like not a Venn diagram, but like 3 different circles. So I can touch base on like the first circle. I took a ton of notes, because if you guys have never listened to him talk, you need to follow his podcast. He's awesome. He's a great public speaker. He wrote Performance Habits, I think it was High Performance Habits, which I own, and I think I need to reread it, because I think the first time I read it, I didn't go all in on it. I just was like, I'm reading my personal development, I'm just reading it. Now that I know him and I hear his voice, he's wonderful. Meg and I think we listen to him like almost every day, like, and they're short little tidbits on podcasts. He has I think it's like growth day is like what you can enroll in, and he's personable. Like he messaged me back after I like tagged him and we had a conversation. So And I'm not big on like, I love female like podcasts to follow, and he's like one of the males that I follow, and he is great. So definitely take a look at his and see what you think. But go ahead.
Day is the podcast.
Yes,
If you,
called Growth Day.
yeah, awesome. Thank you.
And then just to add, he has a new, I don't know if it's like a book or something on Audible. If you have Audible, it's the 6 Habits of Growth, and it was on there for free. So you can just go and download that.
What's the guy's name? Brendan what?
Brendan
Is it
Bouchard.
Brendan?
Here, I'll type it in the chat, Brittany.
Thank you.
He talked a lot about how confidence and communication strategies go hand in hand, right? So we can't talk to people or start connecting with people if we're not confident, right? Like it's going to be awkward, or it's not going to come out right. So how he talks about like, how are we communicating well with other people? So, and how are we going to make the most out of it and have the most impact? And he said when it's not working, it's probably because what you're saying is off and you're using the wrong context. So there were 3 big phases. So I'll talk about phase 1, which was security. And I feel like this is a phase that everybody lives in because it's a safe space and we don't want to step outside our comfort zone, right? So there's a fear of change. There's a fear of change and a fear of like uncertainty, right? Like we're afraid to do an action, to do something, because we're afraid it's not going to work out, or we're afraid to hear that no, or we're not going to get the results we want to see. So when security is driving people, we go into a protective mode. We go into that security mode. Hoarding mode is what he also said. We go into war, right? We have our defense up. We are not like going to go forward. When people are introduced to a new idea or a new opportunity, they will live there. They don't want to step outside their comfort zone. They're like, no, that's not for me. Like, or I tried that, I didn't like it. Or, you know, they try for a few days, but they aren't really indulging. They're not really like diving in. We shut ourselves down, right, to protect ourselves. When we go into it with that mentality, we're uncertain, and you're not going to be the only one going through those things. So you can always talk to your potential customers, your potential clients, challengers, whatever you like to call them, about, you were there once, maybe too. Maybe you said no before you said yes, or maybe, change is hard. I know Autumn Calabrese talks about it all the time. She always says, like, if you aren't going to step outside your comfort zone, like, you won't see that change. I've been having conversations with my coworkers every day this week. They want to do like the Biggest Loser challenge. And I was like, can I be in charge of this? Because like, this is my job, which I haven't really gotten into it with them, but they ask me every day, like, well, you are a personal trainer, right? Like, how do I lose this? And I was like, well, it starts with this. So they complain about like food and like working out and like doing something new, and what if it doesn't work? And it's our job as coaches is to share our experiences and share, like, maybe we were that person once and then this is where we're at now. If your mindset is in that security phase, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So if we're stuck in that phase, how are we going to help somebody else get out of that phase, right? We ourselves have to be brave. This goes right into inviting, right? Talking, connecting. If we're not able to connect and have that confidence to make a connection with somebody over something like, say, a hair product that we're using, how are we going to be able to help them and guide them, with Beachbody or coaching? If we're closed off, people are going to see that and they're not going to want to join us, right? We can't have joy and authentically, we can't have the joy and authentically with people if you're stuck in your old world, right? So he talked a lot about, I don't know if he really brought up COVID, but he just kept talking about like old days and like the old ways, and I did it this way like 10 years ago and like that worked for me, so I'm okay. How many of you guys have heard that from people like, well, I like kind of focusing on my nutrition and like I go to the gym a couple of days and that kind of works for me. They're not seeing the results they want to see, right? Because they're not trying something new. And if we're not trying something new, like I like to call it like muscle confusion. This is like how you try new workouts. I talk to my athletes about this. You have to confuse your muscles and in order to see the changes that you want to build, right? Keep doing the same stuff, you're going to plateau. You're not going to see that change. So they're staying in the familiar because they don't want to try something new that might be scary, that they might fail at, because they want to protect themselves. So we don't want to live in the old, and we want to raise our ambition and connect to the future and talk to them about that. We have to connect with our prospects and why they're holding on to those, those I don't want to change mentality, what they're afraid of, right? And then we have to have the intention, and then we can't have that bulk of conversation and this was the other thing he talked about. So how many times do we connect with people when we complain? Like, oh, I had a really bad day. And then, your coworker's like, oh, me too. We like to connect with empathy, right? Which is not a great thing to do if you think about it. And that really set into me, because I feel like you're always the first person, if you hear somebody else complaining, oh, my husband did this last night. Oh, my boyfriend did that. Oh yeah, my boyfriend did that. We connect in that way, which is not the best way to connect, right? We're connecting on a negative level there, not positive. So he talked about connecting with empathy rather than, not connecting with empathy, but connecting on a positive side. When we complain, we're connecting on those hardships, which is okay to do in certain circumstances, but not all the time. And we're killing that future momentum that we could be having with them, because we're sticking to their fears, and we're connecting on that rather than like trying to push them forward and outside their comfort zone. And it's going to poison the conversation that you're having with them. Try to keep that in mind. So that was like number one. And he said, everybody is in that phase at first, and then you go on to the next phase. So I don't know if Jesse or Becky wants to talk about the coping phase was the next phase he talked about.
You're doing amazing, Crane. Keep going.
Keep going. There's notes for day.
So I think,
Sorry.
no, I was just going to transition and I'll let you talk. I'm not going to say much about it, but it's like the empathy to then transition into the coping. I thought it was really interesting because he's like, yes, we have to empathize with people and say, yes, it's hard, or yes, it hurts, or I'm sorry. Like his example was like, you're not the only one that has cancer. You're not the only one that lost a parent or a kid. So it's like have empathy for the person, but don't let it take you down a rabbit hole and then turn it
Don't
into
dwell on it. Don't dwell on it with them.
Like say, I feel you, make them feel okay. Like I'm listening to you, you are heard, but then switch it to this coping where it's like a positive combo. And I think a lot of you guys do this. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing okay. I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. Flip. Let's talk about something positive. And he just said, don't stay in that negative. Go ahead, Jesse.
So yeah, so he said like 10% of the conversation can be in like the negative, where you can kind of relate to them. And then it's always good to shift it into the positive. So the second phase was like coping. This is where you're kind of just like trying things out. He kept like saying tinkering, called this like the tinkering phase. Like you're just trying this out, you're trying that out to see what kind of works. But there's no like real commitment in this phase. That's in like the next phase then. I honestly didn't take too many notes on this one. Hold on a second. But in this phase, you realize that there needs to be an adjustment, but you may not know what exactly that adjustment is. And you need to celebrate any and all of like your positive adjustments you have made leading you up to that point. Again, that's really all I had on that one. I had more on the first and the third. if you guys want to add to that.
I think I am in the same boat. I put the 10%, but he did say in this section, list 5 things you changed for the better. And it kind of puts you in a good mindset of like, you have these negative things, you have these things you can dwell on, but what have you done that's a positive thing? And I think it was a really good mindset shift to see like, okay, I changed this for the better. And we could do that with our clients. We could say, I'm sorry you feel like you're really busy, but what can you do now? Can you drink some more water in the day? Can you go for a walk? Can you eat a veggie with dinner? Like baby steps so we're not overwhelming them. And that's kind of how I related it back to what we do. But I didn't have anything else for that section either.
I took
Um,
notes.
I mean, I took it too, but I felt like just kept going back to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about just like adjusting from the security to the coping and like having a grasp of wellness, like is stressful, right? And like, I feel like people, like Abby said, like get overwhelmed. So you want to try to like underwhelm them with like simple little tasks, especially with the, I don't have time. Cause I feel like that's probably the biggest excuse we hear, you know, I mean, everybody's busy. And then he said to write those down, and he said, we need to celebrate our adjustments. So that's something you can always talk to customers about is like, hey, I drank all my water today, or hey, I got all my containers in, or I didn't eat out. I didn't take that cookie from the break room. I chose to have my shake instead. Like little things like that, they have to celebrate in order to like, you know, start those mindset changes for themselves. A couple other things I wrote down was just like positive habits are a huge shift in our conversation. 10% of your time, and then connecting with what's hard is human, but don't live there. Like he said about the security phase. There's no movement to something higher if there's no movement to something better. I like that he said that. But that's all I had. The last phase, I feel like he was kind of in, but he did jump back to that security a lot.
Yeah. And then
I was
kind of
yeah,
transitioning from the second phase to the third, which the third phase, he called the performance edge. and this
Wait,
is your-
Jesse, Megan had something she wanted
Oh,
to say before
sorry.
you move on to the third one.
and it might be part of the third one, and I'm sorry, but it just popped into my head from remembering the presentation and everything. Was detecting what's not working is important too. So detecting what's not working and removing that. And I think that we forget about that sometimes. If something's not working for a client or if something's not working for a customer, being able to take that out and remove it. So we know, like, let's scratch that. We've tried it. Let's be proud that we tried it. Give yourself credit for trying it, but remove it. And that was just, sorry. I don't know if that was the last thing you were going to say, Jesse, but.
I mean, in a way, sort of. So we need to talk about and be role models for the adjustments we have made in our lives so that they can relate to that. Like the ones, like the good ones, the ones that have worked, just to show people like how to do it. So we need to role model that stuff. And then one quote I'd written down was, you don't need everyone to understand your journey to push your journey forward. So people may not understand what you're doing. They may not be able to relate right away, but keep showing up and doing it. And eventually they'll like catch on and see those adjustments you made and be like, oh, that could work for me too. So, but then the third one is, he called it the performance edge and productivity. This is when you're kind of like, you reached your peak almost, and you have like all your activities like kind of down to a science. You recognize sorry, my handwriting sucks. You recognize what work has been done, and you are consistent. So this is like where your consistency is. So the second phase is like you're sort of consistent, you're trying to figure it out. This is the phase where you're actually full on consistent, you've mastered it, and you're willing to push, challenge others. And I think Corinne said it, but like the first phase is all about like woe is me, I this, I that. And then this phase is like the we conversation. What can we do together to make this work? And stuff like that. Another quote I wrote down is, and then if you talk to someone about things like you hate, anything hate is applied to dies. So I thought that was interesting, or a good quote. So like, if you always say like, I hate that this person does X, Y, Z, it's just gonna kind of die there and be the end of story.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, he talked about like when you say you're hating something, you just killed your progress, right? And then it's like we hate that other people don't do what we do. We don't work as hard as we do. I hate that they don't work, or I just said that, I repeated this. I talk text into my phone when I'm listening to things. So like half the time, like, what is that say? I can't write down as fast as they go. So that's why sometimes it doesn't make sense. But when you hate it, you just stole your joy and your confidence, right? And it is like, we do say I hate a lot, and it's like hard, especially as like parents. Like if we say you don't want to teach your kids to be like, I hate that, but it's true. It steals the joy out of it. And then when you say like, I hate cardio, like yesterday I woke up and I was like, I have cardio today and I don't like it. And then when I was doing it, I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. And then I was done. I was like, and now it's done. So instead of like, once you say I hate that, you're already like putting yourself in that mindset to be like, I'm over it. Like, I'm not even going to try while I'm doing this, especially when you're like, oh, I have to work my business. Gosh, I hate these business building activities. Well, it's done. You just killed it. And your energy, your confidence, your productivity is going to be killed. He said, you don't dampen your potential from their praise. You're not doing it for them and you're cheating yourself. So that was the other thing he talked about was when you're saying like you hate that people don't work as hard as you, or that they're not trying as hard as you, you're kind of cheating yourself with doing like what you enjoy doing. You talk about the tinkering, Jesse, because he talked about the tinkering a lot and thought it was like a funny word that he kept saying. He said, difference between tinkering and producing, we're paid to push, right? We're paid to help other people. Instead of tinkering, meaning like we're kind of lollygagging, we're pushing forward. Self-doubt is a signal to learn, and your potential begs you to step into the unknown. That's like the biggest thing I think that sets us apart, is that us right now, we're all on this call, right? It's late. We're stepping outside our comfort zone. Maybe we're like, you know what? I don't want to be on the call tonight because it's 8 o'clock. I'm tired. I had a bad day. We all are like unleashing the unknown. We're all trying to learn and dive into more, business building things to make us a better person. So, trying to see what else he said. When he said, when people self-doubt, they tinker. So meaning like you're doubting yourself, that's because you're overthinking it, you're complacent, you're in that security zone, you're not trying to move forward. And then the last thing was just encouragement. He said, we must live in the encouragement. And then it said, what percentage of your conversations and personal thoughts live in which phase? So if we all, like, where are you guys all at when you're having conversations with people? Are you in the security phase, coping phase, or the performance edge phase? He talked about that. I was going to ask everybody where they were at the end of this. And how much can we encourage the women around us to step into the phase that we are in? So, and we just need to live in that challenge phase. So that's that last phase that we want to step outside our comfort zone. Because if we can't move our businesses forward, if we're not going to try and push ourselves outside our comfort zone to make other people step outside their comfort zone, right? No one's going to want to join you if you're not going to be the one to push them. So we're here for encouragement. So just remember that. But if you guys could find this and listen to it, it's super helpful. It was 90 minutes. I don't know, like if you guys would have access if he'll release it or not, but it was a good listen. And when at first I was like, this is 90 minutes. I don't have time for this. That was the first thing I said. And I was like, it took me 3 days to listen to it. I did it on my way to work. I did it on the way, walking my dog. I did it doing a bath for my kid. It definitely was, it was a good one. So definitely listen to his podcast because they are great.
If he would have cut out like his little shout outs to the people and like everything, would have made it so much shorter.
And they did like breakaway sessions too, which I wasn't on live. So I was like, man, I wonder what those were like.
Yeah.
He's an awesome guest speaker. Like, holy crap. I'm so
Yeah,
glad
he's not boring.
He's not boring. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's very funny and personable. And he tells you about like, I mean, the stories he told at Summit about almost dying, like you're just like, what? You're crazy. So
Yeah, and the only other thing, like kind of to say it in a different way, maybe, like that last stage, he talked a lot about adjusting and progressing, or adjusting versus progressing. And we want to progress. He used the words drive, build, high performance, push, challenge, mastery, which is everything Corinne just said. Like, we're trying to progress. And in our business, it kind of reminded me of like social media always changing. Like right now, reels are the thing. And if you hate reels, you're not going to do them because in your head, it's your mindset that you hate them. So you're not going to do them. But they're the thing that we need to progress in our business and use, because that's the thing now. That's what's going to get you your people, get you your views. And obviously some of the people that watch the reels, you'll never connect with because they're weirdos, but that's besides the point. But I found it really interesting because this whole last category, it was so easy for it to like kind of point the finger like, well, they do this and they do that. And it was all turned back on you. Like I. And I think it just makes a really good point that you have the power to do what you want with this business, to progress, to do all the things. And I think Corinne said it. People don't have to understand it. You're going to do it. You're going to show up and then they're going to follow you. And I thought it was just really amazing. I don't know. Because there's so many people stuck in that empathy where they're all negative. Then the coping where it's like, okay, it's going to be positive, but to take that extra step and get a little uncomfortable, that is 100% our job. And it's scary, but when people see us do it and share these stories of ours that we don't want to share. I know Corinne shared it the other day, and we share these things that are hard, but that's where you find your people. That's where you relate to people. But if you sugarcoat everything and make it seem like it's very average and not like specific to your people, no one's going to connect. So I really challenge you guys to get out of your comfort zones and share the hard things that you're scared to do.
Well, one thing he said was to socialize your growth. So take them through the process, not just like the end and trying to like rewind the story for them to see.
And
Take
that's
them
why
through the whole
we
journey.
tell coaches to sign up early at the beginning of their like whole transformation so they can share everything versus being like, I'm in the best shape of my life now. That's awesome. Did you want to ask the question to the group, Corinne?
hold on, I just X'd out of it.
That's okay.
So the questions was what percentage of your conversation and your personal thoughts live in which phase? I don't know what I was trying to write there. What percentage of your conversation what phase are you in? There's a security phase where we're not really inviting. We're not really being brave, following up, putting ourselves out there, talking to new people. The second phase would be coping, which I don't really know how to describe, like what phase that would be, like describe that phase, but again, kind of being in that security phase. And then step 3 is like, you're all in, you're inviting, you're talking about coaching, you're talking about your challenge groups, you're talking live on your stories. I feel like a lot of the girls on my team, at least, like struggle with that inviting piece and like just being brave. And like, I'm like, just be yourself and be funny and like share. I'm like, I'm sure people hate watching me on Instagram, like, because I'm like, I don't know, I'm a mom, I'm quirky, I do stupid things, I'm relatable because I'm like, I show the real. Like, got home today, my dog peed in the house, I let him outside, he got out of my yard, had to pick up my toddler, I was running around the friggin' neighborhood to find him. And I was like, I put that in my story, I was like, today was a crapshoot, like, and it wasn't today, it was just after school pickup, like if it happened in 30 minutes. So, you know, I do share live things. I shared the other day about, you know, I'm very anxiety filled right now through my pregnancy because we had a miscarriage and then my son was born 6 weeks early. So we don't really know like what's going to happen next. Like, I'm approaching 30 weeks. I'm like getting very, very anxious. So I've been trying to talk about that. And other moms have been reaching out to me and talking me through that because it's scary and it's, you don't know, like it could really just happen. I just saw a girl have a baby at 31 weeks and she had her first son at 35. And I was like, oh my God, like you had 2 preemies. Like, that's really scary. So yeah, it's just, you just have to show up and you just have to, I don't know, be yourself, because obviously people want to be with you. They don't want that Barbie cutout, right? They can have that person if they want it, but they've connected with you on a different level. So I wanted to see where you guys were all at and be honest. Like, I'm in the security phase with inviting to coaching. I don't know why, but I am. I hardly talk and invite people to coaching. It's always to my challenge groups. So with challenge groups, I'm in that phase 3. Like, I'm all over that. I don't have an issue with that, getting new people joining. It's getting new coaches to join our team is where I struggle. So we can all go through and share, or we don't have to, or you can write it in the chat.
See, I think I'm the opposite. These days, I'm so much more comfortable talking about coaching than I am to the challenge groups, just because I usually don't get people to join the challenge groups, and that's where they die off. But coaches, because I have such this business mindset, it's something I can speak to and I'm passionate about. But I will say, you know, I think for all of us, we can admit it's moment to moment and day by day. And like today, of course, dealing with hurricane stuff, I went back to this like afraid stage 1, very much hoarding mentality just because of the space that I'm in. And my coaching business, today I was just like, I'm done. I am not reaching out to any people. It doesn't feel natural to me. I can't do it. And then all of a sudden I was sitting on the couch. I got this burst of energy, changed clothes 3 times, made 3 reels, 1 post, reached out to like 10 people, and all of a sudden bounced to that 3rd phase. So you can be in multiple spots. It's not an either or. It's just allowing yourself to move through those spaces, be present where you are, acknowledge where you are, take note of it, and then say, am I comfortable here? No, I wasn't comfortable there. I wanted to excel my business, and then I took that spurt of energy and I did it. So that's for me.
That's an awesome point. We all have bad days, and you really do need to be in the right mindset. So, like, in regards to that, do your business activities as they energize you. Like, some days I want to get to my inboxes, I want to talk to people, knock it out. And some days I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd rather follow people, show them love. Like, it doesn't look the same, but I think as long as you go into it with heart, it's gonna make a difference by just showing up consistently. And I'll say, ever since, I don't know what it was, but Becky, you were like I love inviting to the coaching opportunity. And we like had this moment, and I can't remember what the moment was. And I literally, once we had this, where you're like, this is my thing, I was like, okay. And I've just been inviting to coaching like quadruple what I used to, because I used to be so scared of it, because I was like, why would someone, I was doubting it. Why would someone just want to jump into the business without doing the programs first? And now I feel like most of my invites bring up coaching or bring up the opportunity. Or if I have a challenger, I always add on the extra line that I sent in our chat the other day. Like, hey, also, have you thought about coaching or getting a discount on your products? And it was just this mindset shift. I was scared, hated inviting to it. And then I was like, you know what? I believe in this, and I haven't stopped. So it can happen like that too, as you start to feel more confident, getting out of your comfort zone. Anything else? Any thoughts?
I think for me, pardon if I start coughing. But I think for me, it's like I can get to the point in the conversation where it's like I bring up, joining or the coaching opportunity because I'm getting better about including that in with the message. And then it's kind of like, and I know it's not on my end, it's on their end, because it's like kind of like one of those things. It's like where you get a message from somebody and you read the message and it's like it stops you dead in your tracks because you're like, wait a minute. And then they want to think about it. And I get that. But for me, that's where it comes like there's that like freeze moment, because it's like you want, like, they want to say yes. You want them to say yes, but they're not at that time. And you're like, okay, I know, they're going to just continue watching everything. But it's like, it's that level shift where it's like, they just they need to take the plunge and they won't. And that's where it's the freezing moment. And that's what I'm hitting right now. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just keep, engaging with them, keep doing this, keep doing that. And it's just like, in some people, it takes months. And that's where I'm like, it took me a long time to get out of that, like, as you guys were talking about, like that security blanket area. So I'm like, okay, I just have to like, not let that hold me back and just keep going, because when they're ready, they will come to me and say, okay, I'm ready for this. So, but it's just to keep and not let that hold me back from doing other engaging and, put me in that mental block where I used to be. So I'm getting to be a lot better about that, just staying consistent with the engaging and not just let it like shut me down. So that's been the biggest thing for me.
I think that's really helpful, because no's are a part of this business, and it's easy to let them kind of, what Brittany said, shut you down, where you're like, oh, no one wants to do this. But a no is okay. Put them in your follow-up list and know that it's not the right time for that specific person. It's not a no for everyone. Any other thoughts? All right. If not, if you think of something, you can type it in the chat. So who watched the Melanie Recruiting Like a Rockstar training replay? Awesome. Okay, so it was really powerful. And Jessie, that's the one you said it's still up, right? She didn't take it down?
Oh no, I was talking about the Brendan one was still
Oh,
up.
that one's still up.
Yeah. Like I just like, for shits and giggles, I was like, I wonder if this is still up. And I went in and put the information in, and it still brought me to it and let me play it. So I was going to re-listen to it, but then I didn't have time.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you meant the Melanie one, but
No, but yeah, hers is still up. And I was only able to listen like half of it today.
no, that's okay. So I posted it in our team page. If you want to go listen, it's still there. It was basically recruiting like a rock star. And I thought it went really well, because a lot of us have a fear of inviting to the coaching opportunity. And she really took time to kind of walk through 3 different secrets. And I'm just going to give you a few key takeaways and let other people share because I don't want to hold you guys too long. But step one, you have to believe in yourself. And we know this. You have to believe in yourself and really have people draw into you. Like, you want people to be like, wow, what is she doing? Because your belief is so strong. And that's through taking action, showing your vision, and announcing what you're doing publicly, and just have this confidence that it's capable to, you're capable to reach your biggest dreams and goals, and so are these people that are watching you. So if you have belief in yourself and everything we do as coaches, that's step one. And we talk about that all the time, the vibe, the energy, all that stuff. Then second, you want to have confidence in the business opportunity. So this is where it kind of shifts into like the recruiting part and inviting to the coaching opportunity. And she said, shout it from the rooftops, share all the wins, share the victories, the testimonies. And like, if you get a prize, if you earn a trip, if you earn a free ticket, if you earn whatever, share all the things, celebrate everyone's victories, because when you're sharing these experiences, people are going to be intrigued. But half the time we don't share them and we're nervous to share them. And it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. But you need to show up with that confidence, and this makes a difference in your life. So why would it not make a difference in other people's life? And it's similar to the fact that we so 100% confidently can invite to a challenge group, to our accountability groups. Take that same mindset and confidence to invite to the coaching opportunity. And honestly, once a day, you should be talking about the coaching opportunity on social media of some sort, so people don't think if you invite them that you're just some crazy person, because they're like, she never talked about coaching and now she's inviting me to this thing and I have no idea what she's talking about. So confidence in the business opportunity and the model. And the third one is what I really, really liked. And then I'll let you guys jump in and say what you need to say. Confidence in your approach to the business. And this one really hit me hard because we see all these top coaches and everyone doing these things, and we think we have to copy them and do it the same way. But your approach should feel genuine to you. So I could invite and have a whole different approach than Kareem, because maybe she doesn't feel comfortable with how I'm doing it. And it's really going into like, how are you going to mentor your people? How do you want to mentor your people? How are you going to get them started? What does this system look like? And what makes you different? And this was a key factor. I know you see coaches, they all have different personalities. You connect with some more than others. Some are quirky and goofy and fun, and some are systems, organized, all the things. You're going to connect with the person that's like you. And she really just kept talking about really owning your style and owning how you feel comfortable with how you're going to mentor your people and like what you're going to bring to the table, versus trying to shift to be like everyone else and do that comparison game. And that's where you're going to find your people. Like, I'm 100% a structured and organized person. I like routine. I like all the things. But then some other coaches are like bouncing off the wall. They're just like fun and goofy and all the things. And like, I know that's not me, but like, I know it works for me, and what works for them is working for them. So don't hide behind all these things you think you're supposed to be, and just be you. And last comment is, this is a business opportunity, but we still get to hang out and like go to events together. So when you're talking to these people, you want to be able to relate to them and hang out with them and not be like complete polar opposites. You want to be like with your people and have fun. And I just think it's so easy for us to overlook what everyone else is doing and try to copy it, when really we just need to do our own approach and really own it. that was the gist of my notes in a short little summary. So whoever else watched it, do you guys have anything to add?
Celia, you should share your takeaways if you remember them. If not, they're in my DMs and I'll share them for you.
I actually just went back and looked at them because I was like, wait, what were mine?
You can take a moment and I will just feed off of what Abby was saying. And for me, like what really hit me was what type of like coach and business owner I am. And when she was talking about it, I was like, oh, I am super like empowering and supportive, and I 100% like give my all as a coach, and like am there just pushing all of my people as much as they want to be pushed. And so on that, not only did she say like identify what you are, but then show people in your stories, show people in your reels, and be like, when you join me and when you sign up on my team and have me as a coach, this is what you get. This is who I am. There's no hiding it. When you join my team, we're going to have one-on-one calls. We're going to connect. I'm going to empower you. Like, just put that everywhere so that people know what they're getting. Or if you're like Abby and you're more systems, when you join me, immediately you're going to get checklists. If you're a systems person, we're going to work well together. But like making that very clear in the narrative that you're putting out there so that people know. Celia, did you get yours up yet? I can rant longer.
No, it's okay. I can go ahead. My biggest takeaways from this whole training, whatever you want to call it, we need to share the point of view that opens up a conversation, and that can bring up open conversation for us in our DMs, and not just like have a one-sided conversation, but bring up questions like that they can ask you and then you can bounce another one off of them. I kind of had this experience last 2 weeks ago when we were promoting the coaching opportunity. One of my classmates from high school reached out to me about coaching. She was like, what is this? I was like, well, which one are you talking about? Because in that story clip that I was saying, I was talking about both boot camp and coaching. So I went through everything with her. She didn't end up signing up yet, but it kind of just brought up everything right then and there for her, and I kind of word vomited in the story and then did the same thing in the message. But it just opens up all the opportunities for questions and just basically reiterating yourself again. And then my other biggest one that I had was that I haven't created a vision that inspired me. I thought I did, but I haven't. And I still don't know where I'm at with it, but I need to do that in order to.
You haven't what, Celia? I didn't hear you.
It's okay. I haven't created a vision that inspired me. So she wants us to create a vision, and then on top of that vision, make it so that we can inspire ourselves to keep pushing ourselves. I haven't done that. I thought I did, but I didn't. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with it. And I haven't really sat and thought about it yet because I just life, but it's definitely one thing that I need to like really focus in on and bring attention to it and like get myself moving with it, because I feel like that would help me. But if we all have that, imagine what the power we could have to do, honestly, at the end.
Yes. Thank you, Celia, for sharing. And thank you, Heather, for making her repeat that giant truth bomb, because it was perfect and needed to be said twice, because it's true. If you don't have a vision that inspires you to show up and do this, because as much as we talk about, you know, how amazing this business is, all of the things that come with it, how there's just the daily activities that you have to do to become successful, it's work. And we're not denying that. You have to put in work. And I was just watching somebody else and she's like, you know, there's hustle culture and it gets shamed, but like you don't get to the top without hustling. Like you don't get somewhere without putting in the work. And so having a why behind it is incredibly important. And if you don't, then you're just kind of spinning your wheels for no reason. And so, yeah, identifying that, really having it drive you is important. And then furthermore, once you figure it out for yourself, again, taking it a step further and sharing it with others. Like all of you, everybody knows that I do this for my student loans and to no longer work this crappy job that makes me work during a freaking hurricane when I have a mandatory evacuation. Like, this is my why, right? And that drives me every day to keep showing up in addition to all the other things. But yeah, figuring out what you want, what big dreams that feel unobtainable for you and your family, and know that they're possible through this business and through pushing.
Anyone else?
I can say something. I really liked how she was talking about how imperfect action needs to come over perfect action. And like for me starting out, obviously, I'm like, wow, I don't know anything. And so it's really hard to like pitch things to people if I don't know what I'm talking about. And like going live and everything, I'm terrified because I'm like, what the heck am I going to say? And what if I stutter or, just mess up, give wrong info? And so like the first time someone messaged me and they were interested, I like probably spent 20 minutes trying to record a thing and make it perfect. But it was just like such a big waste of time because I'm like, I know this person. It's not a big deal if I say something wrong. But I think it's just true. Like you got to jump in regardless of what you know or don't know. And that's how you'll be able to get going. And that just back to what we were saying earlier, it shows people like who you are and the reality of it and that you're not perfect and it's a process. So that was just something that I really liked and I'm working on applying.
Thank you. No, and I think that whether you're a new coach or a seasoned coach, no one's perfect. So I think it is scary because I remember like when I talk into my story, when I first ever did it, I deleted it like 8 times and you want it to be perfect. And then things, once you do them, it becomes more natural. So I think we could all struggle with like wanting to make something appear perfect, but at the same time, hey, we really are not perfect at all. And people will like our imperfect things that we do and probably relate to them. So you're doing awesome. And it is a lot to learn as a new coach. And the good thing is we don't need to know it all. We can find the answers, ask each other and all the good things. So it is funny. I feel like any other business, I don't know, this thought just came to my head. Any other business, it's like, especially when I worked my corporate job, it was like, you got to be perfect. You got to have all the words right. You don't want to look like an a-hole. You literally, it's like, have your shit together. And then it's like, here, it's like, just be you. And I'm like, okay, that's a little scary. Like, but
It's funny you say that, Abby, because with my work and stuff like that, even though like we work with like, I work for university hospitals, but like the place I work for is kind of like on our own little branch, I want to say. So it's funny you say that because like that's how like you're taught, like be perfect, be this, be that. And then probably I want to say like the last year, like I have to answer the phones, all kinds of different things. And I'll pick up the phone and be like, and the one time I was like, I just literally answered and said, hey, what's up? Like, I didn't look at the caller ID. I didn't look at who was calling. And I was literally talking to this person like I know them for a million years. Little did I realize, I only spoken to them twice. And this lady is on the other line and she's like, I love this conversation. she's like, I cannot wait to go to the rest of the HR and say, we need to send people to this place because these guys are so down to earth. She goes, everybody else has a specific script that they say. And I was like, well, actually, I said, technically, I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be honest. I said, there is this script we're supposed to say. I said, I'm not going to lie to you. I said, I hate it. So I don't use it. I said, so if you ever feel like calling and getting a good laugh, I said, I'm your girl. And she's like, you just made my day. So I'm so happy that you said that, Abby, because it was like, it's like, I not only feel like have it being like, you know, like imperfect, like in daily life, just like, you know, coaching and everything else, but like with the corporate world, it's amazing how much people like need that. And they don't have that. So yeah, that's all.
I answer the phones daily for my job. And like I talk to real estate agents constantly all morning, all day. And they literally tell me that like I am the highlight of their day because I'm just so cheerful on the phone. When I promise you I'm not, but I just come off that way. And I'm one of the helpful helpful people on the team. And they're like, oh my gosh, we get you out on the phone and they want to talk to me for like 20 million minutes. And I'm like, guys, there's other people calling. So like I need to get off. But I love you, but bye. Because I'm like, no. But
I call it the customer service voice.
yes, I definitely have one of those, and it's just
it's like
whatever.
you're like, hi, how are you? And the second you're like, oh my gosh.
On the back end, I have myself on mute and I bitch because I'm just like I just get so fed up with it. I'm like, nope, bye.
Right.
Thank you guys for sharing. I feel like, yeah, I mean, our business is very unique and you get to be you. You can do the bitching in front of everyone if you want. I mean, I think everyone can relate to that. You put on your business professional attire, your voice, all the things. And in this business, people are going to relate to you being real and raw and human. So I don't want to keep you guys much longer, but I think we had really good discussion and I hope you have a takeaway from this meeting. Maybe you need to create your vision. Maybe you need to figure out kind of your mentorship style and shout it from the rooftops and how you're going to be, what people can expect. Maybe you need to get out of that security blanket zone and start feeling more confident, whatever it is. But I hope you take at least one action from this call and implement it into your business this week. And if you need accountability for that, you can text me or your coach or whatever, and we can help with that. But I think this was really good. Any final closing thoughts? All right. Well, it was so nice seeing your beautiful faces. And it was so nice that there was no baby screaming on my end. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure. But have a really good night and stay safe, ladies.
Thank you, Abby. Good night.
And then everyone stay safe, Becky and Heather.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jesse. Bye.